The music world is shook by the news of Jeff Beck's passing at the age of 78, and I want to share some quotes that I've compiled from other famous musicians and rock and roll stars that looked up to and admired Jeff Beck's incredible playing. But before I do that, I'd like to read a quote from Beck himself. In 2009, Jeff Beck said, "I play the way I do because it allows me to come up with some of the sickest sounds possible. That's the point now, isn't it? I don't care about the rules. In fact, if I don't break the rules at least 10 times in every song, then I'm not doing my job properly." Which is interesting to me because Jeff Beck's such a brilliant, emotional, technically fantastic, and musical guitar player that to me, he's not breaking the rules, he's really making the rules. And so many admire him, but so few, if any, can imitate him. A phenomenal guitar player. So I'd like to share some thoughts from other famous musicians. The first of which is actually Johnny Depp, the actor. A source told People magazine that the Pirates of the Caribbean star is totally devastated after Jeff Beck died at the age of 78, noting that Depp, who was 59 himself, was by Jeff's bedside along with some other rock stars before Beck's death. They had a really tight friendship. They were extremely close, and he got even closer over this past summer when they were touring together, the source shares. The sickness came on really quickly, and it all deteriorated rapidly in the last couple weeks. Something that Depp said is that it's an extraordinary honor to play and write music with Jeff, one of the true greats and someone I am now privileged enough to call my brother. Moving on to other legendary guitar players and musicians. Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin, of course, said the six-stringed warrior is no longer here for us to admire the spell he could weave around our mortal emotions. Jeff could channel music from the ethereal, his technique unique, his imagination's apparently limitless. Jeff, I will miss you along with your millions of fans. Now, Rod Stewart, the legendary singer, was actually a part of the Jeff Beck group early on and kind of came to the music world in collaboration with Jeff. And he says, Jeff Beck was on another planet. He took me and Ronnie Wood to the USA in the late 60s in his band, the Jeff Beck Group, and we haven't looked back since. He was one of the few guitarists that when playing live would actually listen to me sing and respond. And here's some quotes that I compiled from a very recent Brian May video that was posted on YouTube. "I don't feel up to talking about the press about it. It's hard to process the fact that he's not here. Jeff was completely and utterly unique and the kind of musician which is impossible to define. I was absolutely in awe of him. He was a hero of mine all along. I saw him play so many times, often with my jaw on the ground." And Brian May, the guitar player from Queen, recommends the song "Where Are You" by Jeff Beck if you're really looking to get a good feel for Jeff Beck's incredible technique and tonality. Black Sabbath guitar player Tony Iommi had this to say about Jeff. "Jeff was such a nice person and an outstanding, iconic, genius guitar player. There will never be another Jeff Beck. His playing was very special and distinctively brilliant." Rolling Stones and Jeff Beck group guitarist Ronnie Wood had this to say. "Now Jeff has gone. I feel like one of my band of brothers has left this world, and I'm going to dearly miss him. I'm sending much sympathy to Sandra, his family, and all who loved him." Ozzy Osbourne said, "What a terrible loss for his family, friends, and his many fans. It was such an honor to have known Jeff, and an incredible honor to have him play on my most recent album." Eric Clapton, a contemporary of Jeff's, said, "Jeff is so fluent and lyrical that it opens a door in me that wants to do the same thing. He inspires me to play better, to reach further. I always tuned into Jeff all through my life. No matter what the form was, his expression is dominant." And that was from Eric Clapton. Pearl Jam guitar player Mike McCready said, "Saddened to hear Jeff Beck has passed away. I was lucky to see him once, and I stood in awe of his genius. Thank you, Jeff, for being amazing to us guitar players." And that stands for me as well. I was lucky enough to see Jeff Beck with Buddy Guy opening for him, a phenomenal lineup. And I just remember This was at the Maryhill Winery Amphitheater in the Columbia River Gorge. And I remember as the sun was just setting, the song "'Cause We've Ended as Lovers." Ooh, that bend wasn't as tasty as Jeff's was. So I remember that song happening as the sun went down, and it was just incredible. And seeing Jeff Beck on stage, he looked like a action figure, a total rock star with that guitar. And, you know, a lot of people will mention his work with the tremolo bar, but what's incredible is on so many albums, he actually wasn't working with the tremolo bar. And so many of those bends and sounds were purely with the left hand. And then, of course, his volume knob working this back and forth, really had a lot to do with that. Now, this quote is from one of my favorite guitar players, Steve Hackett, who was in the band Genesis during their progressive rock years. It's devastating news about the loss of much-loved guitar legend Jeff Beck. He pioneered the use of guitar sonics, reverb, repeat echo, distortion, feedback, and so many more things. I see him as the tone meister. 1 minute making the guitar sound like an unearthly voice, the next burning up the frets, but always with a great tone. His use of the tremolo arm was completely off the scale, sometimes making it sound like an Indian instrument. He made the electric guitar sing, and he was such a powerful influence on myself and many others. Warmest wishes to all, Steve Hackett. Now, in keeping with the progressive rock vein of Steve Hackett, this next quote is from Carl Palmer of Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And if you get a chance, check out my video on my channel about Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And please subscribe if you've made it this far in the video. I really appreciate it. Just broke 1,000 subscribers. I love talking about my favorite musicians. But Carl Palmer has this to say: "My condolences go out to the Beck family. Jeff will be deeply missed. He gave so much to the world with his guitar playing. I always thought so, and so did Keith Emerson. He would have been a great guitarist to have in ELP. We talked about Jeff many times as a band. We all miss you, Jeff." Whew, that would have been incredible. Jeff Beck, let's see, Emerson, Beck, Lake, and Palmer. Imagine him playing on the Barbarian, Carnival 9, something like that. Whew, would have been incredible. A lot of times people talk about the fact that Hendrix had jammed with ELP and, you know, maybe starting Hendrix, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. That would have been fantastic. But Jeff Beck, I think, would have fit the band more. Pink Floyd guitarist and singer David Gilmour tweeted this: "I am devastated to hear the news of the death of my friend and hero Jeff Beck, whose music has thrilled and inspired me and countless others for so many years." Sammy Hagar said, "Absolutely one of my favorite guitarists of all time. The Truth album changed my life. As a singer and guitarist, I wanted to be Jeff Beck and Rod Stewart rolled into one. We all did. What a loss." And from Spinal Tap, guitar player Michael McKean said, "Jeff Beck was like no one else. It wasn't just skills and soul. He had his own vocabulary. A great musician that leaves such a void." I hope you guys are able to go back and enjoy the music and the work of Jeff Beck. The only solace in him passing away is the fact that so many people are able to honor him and talk about his guitar playing. I love the fact that he played with his fingers. It just brought such a unique tonality and really set him apart from so many of the guitar players of the day. And I know this might be a cliche, but my favorite song, that wonderful song from Blow by Blow, "'Cause We've Ended as Lovers." That'd be my recommendation to get a feeling for Jeff Beck. And you can either listen to the original Blow by Blow version, which has this incredible lick that he would often change up in his live versions, but it wasn't that, it was something else. I really can't even play it. Something like that. And then there's also a phenomenal version on YouTube, live at Ronnie Scott's, with his incredible bass player. Can't say enough about Jeff Beck. He will be dearly missed. And if you guys please could subscribe to this channel. I just like honoring musicians, playing a bit of it myself. And Jeff Beck, rest in peace.